Welcome to 239 Uncensored, everything Southwest Florida and beyond. And I am not your host, Tim Jarrett. He is out doing something today. I don't know, whatever the heck he does with his time. So I am Shannon Livingston, and he put me in charge. He said, find the most interesting guest you can find. And so I brought in a CPA. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but I have a lot of questions about maybe what laws I'm breaking, maybe what laws you're breaking, and just interesting shit. The IRS, why does it exist? Whose horrible idea was that? So today my guest is Brett Nesbit, and you are a CPA, right?
I am a CPA, yes, indeed.
Okay, because a lot of people do bookkeeping or whatever, but they're not a CPA.
They are not a CPA, but I rank at the highest level of my profession. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Very excited.
And I always, when I introduce you, because you're an old friend and colleague, not old, just through the years with me.
Right.
And we'll get to that connection. But when I introduce you, I always have to say, please take him more seriously than he looks. He grows his hair out, not because he is a hippie. You might be, I don't know. No offense to the hippies, but they don't smell great. You grow your hair out for Locks of Love or for a similar organization.
I do. It's called Children with Hair Loss. Great organization. And I donate my hair a couple times a year, a couple times every couple of years, I should say.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just got into that several years ago, and I'm very fortunate in my 50s to still have hair.
You have beautiful hair.
Oh, thank you.
And so I love that you do this thing with it.
Yep.
All the time. So I joke with you about the ponytail and people taking you seriously, but I also want to raise some awareness for the fact that you're able to do something good. If you have beautiful hair like Brett and you don't have to buy it like I do, then maybe think about growing it out and donating it to kids that need it.
Oh, it's very nice. Thank you. There aren't a ton of CPAs around that have ponytails. So
no, it does set you apart.
Maybe a little. So
now I know that they make wigs for kids and adults. What about dogs with cancer? Do they make little wigs for them? Would you donate your hair to that nonprofit?
Well, I guess if that was out there, sure. I have not seen that yet, but I'll have to do some research. Thank you.
Diana, please write that idea down so that we can research that. Little wigs for
dogs.
Yeah. I'm sure that nonprofit is just begging to be started.
One way, maybe you and I will start it after we're done here today.
I know. Well, so I'm even surprised that you're here today because today is the drop day for taxes.
Is it?
And it was extended, 3 days? Usually it's April 15th.
It was. It's some sort of weird holiday in Washington, D.C. today. So they gave us another weekend to work, which we're really excited about. My staff just loves it.
Yeah. So how are you able to be here? Do you have little tax elves, little money elves, or whatever you call them in your office?
It's funny. Today, actually, I'd hate to tell this to the general public, but today is actually a pretty slow day for us. We try to have our work done prior to tax day, so we can finish last minute questions and things of that nature. So today actually is not a bad day for me to be here.
Well, and really, you're at a level where you deal with a lot of companies and kind of larger accounts. So those people have their shit together. It's not me calling you in tears on Saturday saying, please help me. I don't want to go to prison.
Well, that and I do wallow in my own self-importance. So yeah.
Well, I think we all do,
well,
if we're
sure.
honest. So I wrote these notes so that I wouldn't get off track because, as you know, I do tend to. And you do know me well, or fairly well.
Yes.
You have helped me out with multiple projects, one of which being the cannabis education at FGCU.
Great program.
So thank you so much. So you have taught classes out there with me and just really been so helpful in trying to get people to understand that cannabis is a real business.
It is a real business.
That you actually do accounting for some of these businesses. And so I think that's kind of interesting. Let's start there. Are you still representing cannabis and hemp? I don't know if you would call it just companies, growers. Who do you represent? Are they growing? Are they extracting? What?
We do from stem to stern, from retail on down to the growers, primarily in Michigan, which is our home state for our firm, because they're.
Do you want to say your firm's name or keep it out of the show?
Oh man, let's keep it out. Nobody's gonna.
It's going to be good when they refuse to say where they work. All right.
No, I work for Raymond CPA, great firm, been there 25 years. Great place.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of cannabis, obviously it's taken off more in the state of Michigan and other places, but for us in Michigan, simply because there are rules and regulations and the like are a little more liberal than down here right now. So yeah, we represent companies that are growing and selling. It's a really interesting business. because you're right, the IRS has not accepted this as a legal business quite yet, and so
not federally.
Not federally.
So
no.
they'll dip into your money on a state level, right?
They'll be glad to have it. Yep.
Yeah, but federally they don't recognize it, so
Not
you
yet.
don't get any of those tax write-offs. So
You do not.
you're paying. Sometimes I've seen companies paying 70 to 80% in taxes.
Absolutely, yes.
Like, is that a true statement? People don't believe me when I say that.
Yep. They pay from their gross income, not their net income. So getting into the nerdy stuff already.
Yeah. But it's still about weed. So it's interesting.
It's all about weed. So it's okay. Let's talk about that the rest of the day.
I know. I wish, but it's such a business. And I want to say that your company, the reason that they're able to even, take on cannabis accounting, because not all firms are willing to, is because they are very professional, buttoned up, ethical. You really have to have everything, all your ducks in a row, to be willing to open up that door to take on these clients, to know that you are doing everything legally.
No question. I mean, it was a big decision within our firm. I'm an owner in the firm, and I have 50 other partners, and we went through an exhaustive research and a moral understanding of whether or not we really wanted to do this, and what our other clients would say about us, and things of that nature. And you get a little pushback. There's no doubt about it. But it's now been 12 to 18 months to 2 years since we've been doing this. And the clients understand it. And then now our cannabis clients are very happy that we've jumped in and done it for them. So we're very fortunate.
And, the legacy market isn't going to go away or get any better if we don't really legalize properly. And that means having accountants that are willing to count all of that money. Mm-hmm. Do you just sit in a room somewhere and count all the cash? Because it's an all cash business. It
is an all cash business. There are some financial institutions, again, in the state of Michigan, which is where my experience comes from, that are handling cannabis accounts now. So you can bank them. Mm-hmm. The counting of cash and keeping it under your mattress and things like that has kind of gone away, thankfully.
In that class at FGCU that you and I have both, I don't want to even say taught. I don't want to make it sound like I'm qualified to be a teacher. That I was a presenter. Mm-hmm. I have to be very careful. In my head, I'm all things, but when I actually verbalize it, I don't want people to think that that I'm a teacher. So when I presented, one of the things that I heard another presenter say was that a cannabis company paid their taxes in cash, mm-hmm. but overpaid, so that the government had to give them a refund check, thereby cleaning their money, so to speak. Isn't that interesting?
That's fascinating. I
don't know if that's
story,
true.
It may very well be true. They may have paid in more than what, so they were had a refund coming back.
Right.
And the IRS has got to comply. So
because if you have all this cash and you deal with companies, vendors or whatever that just won't take cash, you have to do something. And so I thought that was very ingenious. So today you should have all of your stuff turned in. What if you don't? Do they come knock on your door tomorrow and say, hey, we didn't get your taxes? Like, what happens now if you have not filed?
If you have not filed your return, again, they're not going to come and take you out in handcuffs.
Unless you ask for that and pay extra.
If you pay extra, let me know.
We'd like to video that.
Yeah, that would be wonderful.
He lives an accountant's life. Come on, help him.
Spice it up. Anything. Yeah. I'm a married man over 50. Come on. No, they will not come and take you away. You would just be subject to possibly penalties and interest if you owed tax. But filing your tax return is not, you don't get extra credit for filing your tax return today. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. So don't be scared. If you're a few days late, you should still get on it, because mm-hmm. the longer you go, you can be accruing some type of interest or penalties on that.
Did you write the word accruing down?
No, I said that all by myself.
That is unbelievable. Thank you for saying that.
Is that true?
It is absolutely
true. I had to ask you these things because you're a professional. Usually I just bullshit my way through things, but I don't want to put words, out there that make you sound dumb too.
Keep using the word accrue.
Okay, good. I'm glad I'm using it properly. So yeah, you can pay your taxes anytime. And actually after January 1st, you can pay early, right?
You can pay anytime you like. Actually, it just depends on how much interest and penalties you want to pay.
Because we're all just so conditioned to do it last minute and get it in April 14th or 15th.
Yep. I mean, I have clients that we do their tax returns starting in January after the year ends, and mm-hmm. we go right up here through the last day today. And if not for today, we'll file an extension for you. Mm-hmm. Now, today technically is the last day to pay.
But what if you're years behind? Like there was a span of a few years where I didn't work so to speak. And I didn't really think that I had to pay taxes. So the next time that I had money legitimately on the books that I had to account for, it was a little harrowing for me to, fill out the paperwork. So if you have years that you haven't paid taxes, again, did they arrest you for that, or did they just want their money?
They just want the money.
And you make more on this side of the prison bars, right? So they're like, keep him free because he owes us money.
Well, generally, yes. I don't know what license plates are selling for these days, but I would say that probably you're better off on the outside.
Right. I mean, that's why all these deadbeat dads are not in prison, because the women are like, just let him work.
No, I would say
he's worth more
he's
out
worth
here.
more on the outside.
Yeah, please. The little bit I get.
You would look good in an orange jumpsuit.
Oh, well, thank
short
you.
of that, So
orange is the new neutral.
Is it?
Yeah.
So
that's what they tell me. I just wear black because it matches everything.
Everything, sure.
And I'm usually sad about something.
So, I would say that my best story is about that is I had a client that did not file his taxes for 10 years. And so he came in and we helped him out over the balance of those 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And as it averaged all out, he ended up actually getting money back.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, because he paid in a little bit and he was entitled to some credits and things of that nature.
Oh my gosh,
and
that's crazy.
So we put it all together and sent him in a big giant package of paper. And it took a little while for the IRS to sort itself out over those years. But it's not as scary as what it's made out to be. It really, really isn't.
Well, no. So does the IRS share information with other people? So if I tell them that I made so much money in, let's just say, selling weed illegally, does that then get sent to some department somewhere where they say, oh, you need to look at her because or do they just want their money?
I think there's a special Shannon Livingston department at the IRS. Right
Is
now,
that a little office? I bet it's very beautifully decorated, though.
There's a little red hotline, a little phone you can call.
Yeah.
No, they don't send information to any other departments within the federal government.
Yeah. But I do know from being a lawyer's daughter that if you are in a divorce case and you're talking about who does what with the money, it better jive with what your tax returns say, because you are under oath. And if the other party thinks you are lying, they can send in the transcripts to the IRS, and then they sometimes do investigate that.
I have done a lot of divorce cases in my day, and
that's how they get tipped off, right?
That's exactly how it works.
Isn't that crazy?
Yep. There's a couple of special forms you can fill out and send in, and oh boy, yeah, then it all kicks off.
So I have a saying just for that, and it's, if you're going to be shady, be nice to your lady, because you will always get busted for whatever you're doing. Every person I know that is sitting, not every person, most of the people I know sitting in prison, which is more than the average, I admit, they're there because somebody turned them in because they were a dick. Don't be a dick to your girlfriend.
Sure.
She's going to tell the police that you smelled like gasoline when you came home.
From the male perspective, we always say it's cheaper to keep her.
Yeah, well, there you go. So rhyming advice, always good advice.
Always works.
All right. So charities. This is something that I don't understand either. Every time I go to a charity event, am I supposed to keep a receipt for that $20? Do I just I just did my taxes and there's a $300 deduction versus itemizing? Is anybody really itemizing charity donations?
There's actually a whole lot of really good strategies for charitable contributions. Relative to how much income you're going to take in any given year. So yes.
So we should be doing that for next year. So what can we do for next year to be smarter with charities and whatever else on our taxes?
Any and all things, and it always sounds like I'm trying to hawk a charge hour, right? Is come in and meet with your accountant before year end.
To get that structure in place.
To get the structure in place.
Okay.
Yeah, yep. And when we ask, we're not trying to beat you down for a charge hour. We get it, but we can do so much more to help people to help you prior to 12/31 than after 12/31.
So for the cost of 1 hour, let's say, of consultation, an hour is sufficient for you to get some type of a plan together for somebody and know what they're looking at and what their goals are.
Yep.
That is probably going to save you thousands of dollars over the next year in your taxes. So well worth it.
The payback is unbelievable.
Unless you charge $40,000 an hour. I don't know. What do you charge? Hundreds?
I'm just,
or thousands?
I'm just a bit less than 40,000.
Okay, good. Don't I make you seem like a bargain? I'm like, do you charge less than 40,000?
Yeah, thanks.
That's what my last CPA charged me. It's terrible.
Thanks for coming in. I'll tell you what, I'll do it for 20.
All right. You just like my lawyer. Oh my God. So do I need more dependents for taxes? When I was doing my taxes, my son is grown. I don't think I'm allowed to count my dog other than as like a medical device.
True.
But So should I take in Ukrainians? Should I adopt children from some far off country that's not doing well? What should I do with dependents? What about my mother? She's getting older. When can I claim her?
So the dependency exemption has actually gone away.
Oh.
You can still have a dependent.
Well, why do I want them in my house? And why do I have to take care of them if the IRS isn't going to credit me?
There is actually a rule that they do not have to live with you.
Oh.
So we could get into that a bit if you wanted. But
there's no more dependents.
So if you are going to claim someone as a dependent, if they are, let's say, fully disabled, right, but they live in a home that takes care of people, you can still take their medical expenses if you are paying them on their behalf.
So if my mother's only half disabled, I need to like Nancy Kerrigan her to make her fully disabled to get a better tax benefit. This seems like it's causing people to be criminal.
I do have a metal pipe in my truck. If you
I mean, really, is it like the more disabled you are, the more money you get?
No, it's really if you provide 50% or more of their assistance, of their support throughout any given year, then you can claim them as a dependent.
So I'm going to have to really step it up as the daughter before I'm able to claim my mother.
I would get your checkbook out. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I don't know. She's not there yet. She's very feisty.
Well,
her mind and her body are hanging in there.
That's all okay. Again, there's all kinds of little technical nerdy rules about it. But yeah, generally speaking, if you provide a large amount of their support, then there's a possibility that you can take them that you can take their medical expenses as a deduction. So
is that what write-off means, a deduction? Because people are always like, oh, it's a write-off. I'm going to write that off. And I say it all the time. No clue what it means. So that's what it means.
So, you're 2 for 2 on accounting terms today. So yeah, write-off and accruing.
I feel like I could pass the CPA test.
I'm thinking about offering you a job.
Like 2 more questions and I'm coming for your position.
Enough of this radio stuff.
I know. So can I write off my stuff from my work like this? So I think this is work. Although it is my favorite part of the week, it is still media and work. So can I write off my hair and my makeup and all of my low cut shirts that I wear now at this table?
I want you to know I was looking you in the eye the whole time you said that.
Right.
Yeah.
That was a waste of money then.
Well, So yes, you can do that because this is part of your job.
Oh.
I have a client that is in media on television, and part of her work is, of course, to look the part.
So
she can write that stuff off.
When I was on radio before, I couldn't have written it off. But
I'm looking at you right now.
But now that I'm on video and people have to look at this, and I got to hold it all together with duct tape and whatever, Gorilla Glue.
Yep.
Oh my God, I am loving this episode. So I thought it was going to be really more about other people, but I made it about me.
I think that's okay.
That's common.
I like you.
I know. Thank you. So let's see. You taught me what a write-off is. Can I pay the IRS in pennies just to be spiteful? Will they take them?
If you show up at your local IRS office with a gigantic bag of pennies, the likelihood of you being able to do that is pretty slim.
Really?
Yep.
Why?
They want a check or they want electronic payment these days. They don't accept cash.
Not at all.
Zero.
What about from the cannabis people? They're not paying in cash anymore?
Nope.
So either that was an old story or that was a lie.
Well, it could be both.
That was told to me.
Yeah. I would not show up in Fort Myers with a big bag of pennies.
So they don't take cash anymore.
No.
That is crazy.
Shaking my head on the radio is a pretty dumb idea. No, so let me just say no.
People can hear you too. Okay. And is that because they want everything to be reported and trackable, or is it just easier for them?
It's just a manpower thing. I mean, back in the day when people would walk in with cash, and they used to do that, you had to have somebody there to count it. And so the IRS is so woefully behind on everything.
60 years in their IT. I did research. I told you, I'm a little nerd. And so I do love to research things. And so researching the IRS sounds boring, but it's not. It's the history of our country and the reason we're getting screwed today, people. So pay attention.
Yep, listen up.
And, maybe we can all form a financial revolution and get rid of the IRS. So it has not been around forever.
It's not. Nope.
And the initial purpose of the IRS, before it was truly the IRS, was to help fund the Civil War.
Indeed.
So Abraham Lincoln is the one that gave us this big turd.
Honest
in
Abe.
Congress. We have to blame Congress too.
Yeah. I don't like either one of them.
Yeah. Well,
you and I know. We know.
So everybody knows that I'm a crazy libertarian, and I'm always railing against the two-party system and everybody in it. But it's true. I feel like I love my country so much. I love it enough to criticize it and look at the systems that work and don't work. And this is what government does. They give us a temporary thing and they then twist it and stick it to us forever.
And make it into something that goes on forever and ever. Amen.
Yeah. And so we lose all of our rights and all of our money. And that's just not cool. And so I do get off on tangents, but I'm thinking about DC right now because, we originally, the whole, we declared independence because of taxation without representation. But we still have that situation in DC, don't we?
Oh, very much so.
So,
Yeah,
I mean, how does that even work? So they have to pay in taxes, but they don't really have anybody representing them because they're not a state.
Man, how much time do you have? Yeah.
But is that the reasoning behind making DC a state, or is it to control the political voting boundaries?
Well, I mean, this is
I've given you all kinds of questions that have nothing to do with being a CPA. I'm sorry, but just what's your opinion on it?
No, I think that's
you don't have to
true.
be right.
Oh, thank goodness. We've been into this 20 minutes. I'm not
I
right.
trust you to be right, but no, like, what is your opinion on that?
Oh,
the
absolutely.
movement behind statehood.
I think Washington, D.C. should be a state.
Yeah, because of the taxation?
Because of the taxation part of it. Absolutely, yes.
Do you think we should have taxation at all, or do you feel like taxation is theft?
I think taxation it's a voluntary system. Let's put it that way.
Is it really, though? I mean,
it's still written that way.
But they're if you operate in cash or you barter everything, right? If you grow vegetables and raise goats, I guess, then you can barter. But the rest of us have to operate with a bank account and all that. And the IRS can come after all of those things. It's not really voluntary.
After a long process. Yeah, I'm okay with paying a certain amount of income tax for a certain amount of things. I'm all about, limited government, very much so. So am I willing to pay for military and things of that nature? Yes. Am I willing to pay for every cockamamie program they come up with? No.
Right. No. And, why am I paying most of all of this stuff for military equipment and then telling the vet that they can go fuck themselves?
Yes. That is so,
right?
Can't even
is
tell
that
you.
just me that's upset about that?
No.
I mean, when I, look at taxes and everything we're talking about, it is, where does the money go?
Where does the money go? Absolutely.
Like you, I feel very blessed to live in this country and I'm happy to pay my share. And I, do want to have some control over where that money goes, which is another reason I'm always supporting nonprofits and trying to get other people to. It is only through personal responsibility, I think, that we are going to get to the point of limited government.
I've always felt that on a tax return, because, there are piles of paper, that there should be a section where the taxpayer decides where their money goes.
Oh my gosh. Can you imagine? But people are writing in, what was his name? The gorilla for president. So can you imagine the crazy shit that they'd write in there as far as like where they want their money to go?
Yeah, I totally understand. But I think most of those that pay attention to it would say, I want a certain allocation of my money to go here, here, and here. And any of the other stuff I don't want to fund. And I think that would be...
Yeah. It would at least get them to look at it.
Absolutely.
To know that while we're arguing over who's getting government cheese through personal welfare, the majority of the money is going to the military industrial complex and corporate welfare.
Yes.
So, what do we do about corporations that aren't paying their fair share of taxes? How do we have any control over that? What's the difference between giving a company an incentive for job growth or things like that versus just people getting screwed over because the big company is hiding behind being a corporation and not paying taxes?
Yeah, but corporations do pay tax.
Through the transactions that they do doing business?
Absolutely. I mean, they pay multiple layers of tax.
Can you believe that I knew what you were talking about right away? That's amazing to me.
Not after this interview. No, I'm thinking about, like I said, I'm going to offer you a job by the time this interview is over.
Thank you.
So yeah, corporations pay multiple layers of tax. They certainly pay income tax if they're a C corporation, or if they're a pass through, then the person pays it through a partnership or an S corp, whatever. But they also pay payroll tax, they pay sales tax, they pay transactional taxes. If they do foreign stuff, they pay foreign tax. So they're paying.
So they're getting taxed.
They are getting taxed. It's not zero.
So when we hear that Jeff Bezos isn't paying any taxes, Amazon, who is lying to me? Who do I need to go talk to? I feel used and manipulated. Anytime
an Amazon truck shows up, just go out and ask that guy.
Yeah.
He'll tell you. He'll know.
I love my Amazon guy. They take such good care of my packages. They prop them up against the door, put them on the bench so nicely.
At my household, they might just as well install an Amazon distribution center next door.
Do you know your guy's name? Your Amazon guy's name?
I'm quite certain my wife and daughter do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Amazon is the new way, right? We don't need brick and mortar anymore.
You do not. No, that would be a wonderful discussion to have at some point. It's not necessary. People can bring stuff to you, which is a great, great service.
But didn't you think that was going to sway things more into customer service? Like we were going to have more boutiques and more one-on-one service and kind of moving away from Walmart, I guess. I'm like, I always think that the pendulum swings one way too far and then back, the other way. So once we went into Walmart land where everything was cheap, convenient, mass produced, poisoning the earth, we don't give a shit, just give it to us cheap.
Right.
We want a lot of it. We don't want to pay for it. Yeah. That then was going to have people realize that it was taking the quality, the craftsmanship, all of that out of the product. And it also takes the customer service need out of it, and it takes it out entirely when you're online. So I think some people still like that. I don't like people, so I don't need to interact with them. I prefer Amazon.
So it depends on the type of service you're looking for.
Yeah.
If it's a commodity, you're right. If it's a toothbrush, I don't really care who brings it to me.
You don't need somebody to hold your hand through that.
Not through that process.
Still nice.
Particularly because I don't have my own teeth.
But
these are just a false set. So
listen, I pay for my hair, my boobs. I got like half of the shit that you see right now has been purchased.
Oh.
But it would be nice if the guy at Walgreens would come to the toothbrush aisle with me and help me make that purchase if I was feeling particularly vulnerable that day.
Sure. If you didn't know whether to pick out the Superman one or the Wonder Woman one. I mean, yeah.
And then I'm going to pay what, 6% tax on that?
You are going to pay 6 or 7% depending on what county you live in here in Florida.
Oh, is Lee County higher?
Lee County is higher. They are 7%.
Because the rich people in Collier want to keep their money.
Well, I mean, Collier has 7% as well, really. But yeah.
Oh, I don't understand any of that. So
that makes 2 of us.
Okay, good. Because I'm gonna segue right into the history. So I want to talk just a little bit about some of the history of the IRS, because we kind of started with how it was started, but that was only supposed to be temporary.
It was supposed to be temporary and go away really after the 1930s, really.
Well, and what I read was it was actually repealed after 10 years. The initial act that Abraham Lincoln and Congress passed for the Civil War. And it was a 3%. I love this, that it was a 3% tax, and it was only on annual incomes over $800, which today is the equivalent of, because I looked that up too. I know. I told you I'm a nerd, is the equivalent of $23,792.36. So is that roughly the same now? You have to make about 24 grand before you pay taxes.
It is amazing because the standard deduction for a married filing jointly couple is $25,000.
Well, there you go. So it still is kind of in line with how it started. So, all right, they let it go away, and then they said, hey, we really miss giving the government money.
Yeah,
right?
Let's bring it back.
Let's bring some shit back. So then we had the 16th Amendment in 1913, and they just kind of agreed that the authority was, they were going to have the institutional authority to levy these taxes, level the taxes against corporations and individuals. In 1914, we had Form 1040 was unveiled. Now, this word unveiled was used, and I'm just imagining like they had a big, like
a ribbon cutting.
Like an opening event, and they unveiled this form. I'm like, oh, these people needed some television back there.
A bunch of accounting nerds with abacuses.
Right? But what I thought was really interesting was they would give people their tax bills on June 1st. Now, this is in 1914, and they were due June 30th. Yes. So they just assumed that you had your shit together. You knew what your money was, right? Not like today where every Yahoo, like, I don't know what's in my account right now. I'm so irresponsible financially.
We offer a service for that.
I know.
Perhaps we could help you.
I know, but I just want to manage my $4 on my own for a little bit. Okay. And once I build it up a little bit, then I'll come over. See you. No, I don't want you to see all the illegal shit that I'm still doing.
Oh, good heavens, no.
And so then this is what is really interesting, I think, to me, because I learned so much from this research. In 1919, national prohibition was the thing, right? So they took away everybody's booze, and they had the National Prohibition Enforcement Act, which it became enforced by the Bureau of Internal Revenue, which later became named the Internal Revenue Service.
Yes.
So I didn't understand that. Like, we didn't have the DEA yet. I know that from my cannabis education, but I don't think my brain had ever really thought about who specifically was enforcing prohibition of alcohol.
It still holds true today that some of the most interesting people in the IRS are those that carry guns.
And
it's true.
And then, we think, oh, the government is so crafty to put Al Capone in prison for tax evasion. But now it all makes sense that these were the people that were looking at him.
That's how you could get him.
Oh my God. Like, did anybody ever explain that to you before? That was the connection, that they were actually doing the enforcement? Or did you know that, just being a smart person?
Yep. No, I saw that on a Geraldo Rivera episode once.
Geraldo Rivera.
Yes.
Did anybody throw a chair at him?
No, he was looking for Al Capone's money, and I think he found.
He was in the vault.
Yes.
And he found a bunch of IRS research.
A bunch of IRS people still working.
He found me in there researching.
Yep. He found IRS nerds still working away. Slide rules in hand.
And so then, so after 1919, let's see, we had payroll withholding. Like, it's gone through a lot of growth. And then we had, again, in 1942, we justified taxes to pay for war.
Yes.
So we had Roosevelt and the victory tax, and his goal was to pay for at least half of World War II. And the numbers now, they think that he paid for about 43% of World War II with the victory tax. Which I don't think the victory tax went away, right?
It did not go away.
Did we have any victory or not? Didn't we win?
We're still winning, and we're still paying.
Oh my gosh. It just never, they're like, we're just going to roll this out with this name. If they call it a victory tax, it makes you excited to pay it.
Yep.
Right? Victory.
Where do I sign?
It's not a loser tax. If they called it a loser tax, I wouldn't be so excited to pay.
Well, on the Form 1040, they still have a line where you can pay additional tax if you wish.
Really?
Yep. So if you want to pay more than what we've tabulated for you, you can write in another amount and pay an extra if you wish.
As a donation, or does it roll over to the next year?
No, I'm saying, like, if your 2021 tax is $10 and you want to pay 15, you go right ahead and pay 15.
And they don't give you anything back?
No, they're happy to take your money.
Oh my gosh, that is such a sneaky sales tactic, isn't it?
Can't say that I see that people do that very often, but it's still available to you if you wish.
Maybe if you're doing your taxes when you're like high on shrooms, you would think that you need to put something in that line.
It all comes back to weed, doesn't it?
Well, or shrooms. Because psilocybin is going to be the next round of research and legalization that we have, particularly for PTSD, depression, migraines. It can really reset the brain. And very interestingly, I was reading lately that psilocybin is actually safer than cannabis.
No kidding.
Yeah. So cannabis, does not shut down breathing, or, it doesn't shut down your brain stem, your brain activity, anything like that. It affects your endocannabinoid system, and psilocybin, apparently, I don't know, it does something to the brain that is even less than that.
All kidding aside, that would be fascinating research. And I really hope, because all the people that suffer from PTSD or anxiety attacks or migraines,
or,
oh my goodness.
Chronic migraines, and so I was watching PBS years ago about chronic migraines, and it was an accountant, actually, that I'm bringing it full circle, and then we're going to wrap it up. But he was forced to take a reset dose, which was actually enough to hallucinate. Some people are able to control pain or depression or whatever through just a microdose, so they don't ever feel anything, but it does whatever it's supposed to do with your body and your brain circuits and all that. So I'm just starting to learn about that, and it's very exciting. But don't do your taxes on shrooms. I think that's the takeaway from this whole
of anything
show.
We talked about today. Let's not do that as your accountant or as the person bringing the stuff in. Let's just not do that.
Yeah, let's not. And, start asking some questions. Do a little research like I did. Like, I'm not going to subject everyone to all of the stuff that I did, but basically they have been handing us a big pile of patriotic shit and asking us to pay for it for a long time. And, their IT is 60 years old. They're just now starting to modernize stuff. They weren't even on social media until 2018. So, like, what are we paying for? What are we getting with our money here?
The millions and millions of pieces of paper that the IRS is behind in terms of opening would stagger people. It's literally sitting in trucks
So are they hiring? Is that part of the hiring surge that we're seeing?
They are trying to, and they're also trying to upgrade their technology, as you indicated, and things like that. It's going to take years. I mean, they are so woefully behind in. I even read a thing today in Bloomberg, which is a nerdy tech service, that their customer service is as bad as it's ever been, and it never was good.
No,
so
not great.
Not great.
So, I really wanted to have you on to talk about how being a CPA feeds into perfectionism and how that becomes kind of a cycle and how it might be a benefit and a problem. But I talked this whole time. And so I would love to have you back and actually talk about you instead of the IRS. I can't believe I did that to you.
Let's do that sometime, shall we?
All right. Well, thank you for being on. Thank you for coming in. Do you love the studio? Pleasure. You have to tell Tim how beautiful it is. He works really hard on it.
Yeah, I don't know Tim, but boy, Tim, you've got yourself a nice studio here.
I know Tim is usually he's here and he owns everything.
Oh,
but right now he's like Kaiser Soze, right? Like he's just Tim. Like, who's this Tim? He's very mysterious.
Maybe he's doing his taxes today.
He might be.
Who's to say?
Well, he's retired now, so hopefully those taxes will be easy.
Well, I mean, have him come see me. We'll make them hard.
Is that your tagline? Come and see me. I'll make your taxes hard.
We're going to make it difficult for you.
Make it as difficult.
This is not going to be fun.
Painful and as expensive as possible.
Yes, if radio can see my head nodding, yes.
Oh, that's so funny. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here. And we have a tradition here at 239. I make Tim do a fist bump, even though we can barely reach over the table. So thank you so much for watching and listening, everyone. Have a great day. 239 Uncensored. And we are now, you have to fist bump, and we are out.
Almost.
Oh, that's it.